Councillor Hawkins, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Professor, you mentioned the concern for the safety and protection of pedestrians and cyclists. We have an education moment here. What things would you suggest that pedestrians and cyclists do on 13th Street to improve their safety?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's hard to compare vulnerable road users with cars that are technically machines. I think that creating infrastructure that supports safer crossings for pedestrians is probably the most important measure, and for cyclists, that we can create infrastructure to actually create their increased safety. I think that, we can get into a discussion around whether people need to be more aware. I think all people have human errors, and we're trying to create a system to decrease the potential for major injury and death within a particular area that we know is an area that pedestrians and cyclists use frequently. I think that when we talk about creating road safety, though, we're also creating road safety for drivers. Nobody wants to be in a collision with a pedestrian or a cyclist, or has to live with that consequence as well. So, I'm focusing on pedestrians and cyclists in some of those comments, but I think that it really does work to protect all road users, and we tend to focus on the most vulnerable ones, because creating increased safety for them creates increased safety for everybody.
The question focused on what pedestrians and cyclists could do to improve their own safety. Any suggestions there?
I think that, we need to create the infrastructure. I'd kind of go back to that. I think oftentimes when you have busy streets, like is the case on 13th Avenue, and you've got retailers that people are wanting to frequent, I mean, that street is busy in the daytime. It's busy when I drive past or walk past at night. It's a really popular space for people to collect, and anytime that you have spaces that are popular for people to collect, you create more of a potential for injury or collision. And so the infrastructure really works then to protect all users of that space.
Would it help if pedestrians didn't jaywalk?
I think it would probably help more if drivers were not as
That's not my
distracted.
question. Yes or no? Would it help if there was less jaywalking?
If we can create safer crossings, perhaps. If there's a problem and we know that jaywalking is happening because of a lack of safety for those crossings, then that's a great thing that will need to be addressed as part of that extra kind of infrastructure to coincide with these changes of the reduction in speed limit.
Would it help if pedestrians didn't talk on cell phones while crossing the street?
I think distracted movements are probably part of all road users, but it's different when we're comparing.
The answer is yes, isn't it? Are you prepared to answer?
Am I prepared to answer whether people
Yes
should
or
not
no?
be on their phones?
Would it help if pedestrians didn't use cell phones when crossing the street? You won't answer. Thank you, Mayor.
Point of order.
Councillor Sikiniak, please go ahead.
We're not to engage in debate with delegates, and I think that line of questioning was debatable. Councillor Hawkins.
Mayor, I wasn't debating. It was just a request.
Councillor, thank you. Thank you. Councillor Sikiniak, thank you.